established. Are all the judges ready? And the negative team?
Yes, thank you.
All right, let's get started. Over 15 years after the worst terrorist attacks in American history, 5 of the men accused of planning that assault still haven't faced trial, conviction, or execution. They're supposed to be judged by a military commission at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, but that trial hasn't even begun. Many of the soldiers who now guard the 9/11 terrorists at Gitmo are too young to remember when the plane slammed into the World Trade Center. If the accused 9/11 plotters had been tried in a federal court, they would be on death row as we speak. End quote. The conclusion is obvious. Military commissions have become a roadblock to the process of justice. It is for this reason my partner and I stand resolved that the United States federal government should substantially reform its foreign policy regarding international terrorism. With any policy, the United States should value a substantial interest. Therefore, our goal for today's round will be justice, namely ensuring that international terrorists receive due punishment for their crimes, efficiently and effectively. Our first and only definition will be on foreign policy. Dr. Charles Herman, who has served on the National Security Council, the Council on Foreign Relations, and the American Political Science Association, wrote that foreign policy consists of the plans, goals, and actions of national governments directed at entities outside of the nation. Herman goes on to explain that it's difficult to capture the concept of foreign policy into a single definition, and that there are many possible definitions to use depending on the situation. Let's move on and examine the facts about military commissions. Fact 1 is established to try international terrorists. Established to try international terrorists. The Office of Military Commissions explains its own history. After the terrorist attacks on September 11, 2001, President George W. Bush established military commissions to try certain individuals. The president's military order authorizes trial for non-U.S. citizens who are or were engaged in acts of international terrorism that have caused injury to or adverse effects on the United States, end quote. At the start, military commissions allowed many practices involving evidence standards and treatment of detainees that distinguish them from federal courts. However, reforms put in place in both 2006 and in 2009 amended a massive number of these practices to make military commissions far more similar to federal courts. Despite the original intent to be effective at punishing terrorists, military commissions are considered disastrous, as seen in Fact 2, opposed by experts. Opposed by experts. In May of 2018, the American Bar Association released a report compiled by 24 national security and legal professionals, including law professors, judges, and several former military officers. While these experts were diverse in their occupations and political views, the report concludes that, quote, all believe that whatever their original intent and design, the military commission system is not working as intended. They should either be reformed or terminated in the interest of justice for the families of victims of terrorism, end quote. Robert Chesney, counterterrorism expert and professor of law at the University of Texas, explains that criticism. Quote, relentless pressures over the past 16 years have led to so many revisions for the rules of these commissions that the procedural advantages they were designed to confer have largely disappeared, end quote. Because military commissions fundamentally don't work as advertised, they are counterproductive to justice. That's why Abby and I proposed the following plan. Mandate military commissions will no longer be used to try international terrorists. Cases involving international terrorism will be exclusively handled in federal courts. Section 1033 of the National Defense Authorization Act of fiscal year 2019 will also be repealed to allow the United States to transfer terrorists from Guantanamo Bay into federal courts. These steps eliminate the possibility of a sluggish and ineffective military commission proceeding in any given case. Agency and enforcement will be Congress, the President, the judicial branch, and any other necessary bodies. Timeline will be 1 year after the passage of the affirmative ballot, and funding will be through normal budgetary means. Additionally, the affirmative team reserves the right to clarify this plan throughout future speeches. Let's now examine the advantages of Article 3 federal courts through our justification, justice. Justice is the primary goal of our plan. For without justice, a criminal justice system loses its foundational purpose. Federal courts consistently achieve justice best, and there are 2 reasons for this, as brought up in our 2 subpoints. Subpoint A is efficiency. Since 2001, 8 terrorists have been convicted under military commissions. During that same time period, over 660 terrorists have been convicted by federal courts. Robert Chesney explains how, quote, it is evidence of capacity and of competence. When it comes to actually and fairly processing criminal cases, nothing compares to the combination of Justice Department prosecutors, federal public defenders, and the judges and staff of the Article III federal courts, end quote. Not only do federal courts convict more terrorists, they also operate more quickly. As Huffington Post reported, quote, we analyzed the length of time between crime and sentencing for more than 24 alleged terrorists captured by the US government over the past 2 decades. In every single one of those cases, the federal court system took less time to convict the captured terrorists than the military commission system at Guantanamo has taken to even start trying the accused 9/11 plotters. I'd like to make this very clear. Efficiency can be harmful if it forfeits a more thorough process. This is a reasonable concern. However, not only are federal courts more efficient than commissions, but they are conclusively a more thorough system. As seen in subpoint B, just desserts. A massive advantage to federal courts is that they draw authority from both US criminal law and military law. In contrast, military commissions are restricted to trying terrorists under only military law. This has meant that military commissions have had only 32 criminal charges at their disposal, while federal courts have access to these 32 charges, plus more amounting to over 4,000 charges. This has led to notable issues in the past. In one case, the loyal chauffeur of Osama bin Laden, Salim Hamdan, was at first convicted by military commission of material support for terrorism. He first received a paltry 5-month sentence, but then his conviction was overturned because everyone suddenly realized that material support for terrorism was not a chargeable offense under military law. On the other hand, Ali Saad Shandia collaborated with a Pakistani extremist to mail equipment to his allies. Indicted in a federal court under the same charge as Hamdan, material support for terrorism, Shandia was sentenced to 15 years. If ensuring that international terrorists are convicted quickly and receive reasonable punishments for their crimes is important, then look no further than federal courts. You can have your cake and eat it too. With military commissions, you have neither. The reasons to pass our plan are simple. Federal courts are a tested and true system with substantial jurisdiction and resources, while military commissions are an objectively worse option that have proven to be a massive failure compared to their original intent. Our plan is necessary to address the flawed nature of the current system, set future precedent for success, and achieve the goal of justice. Thank you very much. I'm open for any questions.